Welcome into the Diamond Vols Podcast on GoVols247.com. I am Ben McKee, and I am joined by former Tennessee pitcher Will Heflin here on this Monday, March 2nd edition of the podcast. We are recording this late at night, so most of you are probably listening to it first thing Tuesday morning. Sam Smith is listening to it as it drops if he's not already in first class for his next flight, but that's a separate conversation for a separate day. Much more positive podcast we have today, baseball wise, because not only did Tennessee win a series kind of this past weekend, but did so against some pretty good competition on Saturday and Sunday. So a lot to discuss here on the podcast. Will, my friend, are you doing well?
I am, sir. Thank you for asking.
You are very welcome. I figured I'd get the pleasantries out of the way because the floor is yours to apologize to UCLA baseball.
For what?
Saying that they were the worst team in the history of baseball and that they had no chance of making it to Omaha despite being the number one ranked team in the country.
No.
And you also said that Rock Chalowski was the worst shortstop prospect of all time.
I didn't say they wouldn't make it to Omaha. I said they would make it to Omaha, but I didn't think they had the pieces to win it. And that thought hasn't changed. Are they a little bit more polished and for real than I gave them credit for? Yes, hand up. They're good. Their arms, that lineup is nice.
Let me
and
throw this thought
they're
out.
playing at a very high level right now. On March 1st, but I'm not willing to crown them or anybody else.
That's fair. We have learned. I believe you mentioned this at one point. Like we've seen, I think you and I were texting about it. Like we've seen Tennessee teams be awesome during the non-conference and then not be as awesome during SEC play. Most notably, last season's team and then the 2023 team as well. But let me throw this thought out at you with that UCLA lineup. I was very impressed. I think the lineup is the real deal for the Bruins, and I think it reminds me of some of the recent SEC lineups that we've seen go on a tear. I mean, when you've got Will Gasparino hitting eighth and he's already got 10 bombs on the season, I think you've got pretty good depth in your lineup.
Yeah, I was way wrong about him. I mean, he was a career 240 hitter at Texas. So they've unlocked something. I just didn't see it. But he's been on a tear, and he hit well in that ballpark last year for Texas. So maybe he just likes hitting there, but he came in with already having a few homers. So I think he's from out there. And so maybe he's more comfortable. Long levers, right? When he's right and gets it, he can put on a show. So he's made me look dumb. At least to start. So we'll see. It's a long season. I know they shouldn't have beat Mississippi State. They phenomenal performance pulling that off, but if the ball doesn't bounce over the wall for a ground rule double, the game's over. And then they had ball 4, which would have ended the game, called strike 3. That was controversial on Twitter. It was a very nip and tuck top tier game. Like that was a phenomenal game. I'm talking about them and Mississippi State, but they swept the weekend. They're deserving of number 1 right now. But I still there's team, including Mississippi State, who I think was better. They just lost that game. There's a handful of teams that I think are deeper than them, especially on the mound when it really matters later in the season. So I'll die on that hill. I may look really dumb here in another couple months, but the problem for UCLA is they're about to go play the Big Ten. So we won't really know until the postseason. Omaha. And then when we get to the postseason, we'll be talking about these same few weekends for why we think they're good. And it's like, okay, so I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation, but the Big Ten's got it rolling right now. I mean, shoot, if UCLA goes and takes a baseball natty, that would not look good on the SEC at all.
No, it would not. But of course, we've got to poke fun at you here on the podcast. It would not be true.
I was critical, and they're good. They're good. I can admit that.
It would not be a true Diamond Vols podcast if we did not poke fun at you. And hey, look, I'll I'll raise my hand and say I'm not as confident on those 25 Blaine Brown homers as I was coming out of opening weekend when he hit 3 against Nichols. So I need Blaine to pick up the pace because there's we talk about the swing and miss and the chase with Levi. We've seen it with Blaine here of late, so I'm sure he'll still run into plenty of home runs this season. But I'm starting to get a little nervous about my bold prediction that I was all high and mighty on during opening weekend. So we both have hills that we may be dying on later this season. But again, wouldn't be the Diamond Vols podcast if we didn't poke fun at you at some point. To put a bow on the UCLA conversation, with the way that they played throughout the weekend, and I side tangent real quick, I agree with what you said about Mississippi State. I was very impressed with Mississippi State. I think they've got a really, really good ball club. I was impressed with Texas A&M as well. I was impressed with all three of those teams, UCLA, A&M, Mississippi State. I thought they all looked good this weekend and are three of the better teams in the country, whatever way you want to slice it. But with how UCLA looked the rest of the weekend, not that we're into participation trophies or moral victories, but did that make you feel better about Tennessee's frustrating loss that ended up being a 12-5 loss on Friday?
Sure. But I don't know if my feeling changed as the weekend went on. I mean, I left that game Friday thinking it's a one-run ball game in the 7th, and it got away from you. And that was the least clean baseball they played all weekend. They were phenomenal defensively on Saturday and Sunday. They were not phenomenal against the best offense they faced, and it bit them every single time. You look at the first few runs that UCLA scored to build their lead, Tennessee helped them get those runs. You look at the big inning that they had, Tennessee helped them get those runs, whether it be pitching or defensively. It was not good enough. I thought that was our best game offensively. The punch back was something that I really, really like to see to make it 5-4. And you were real close to tying that game up or going into that next inning with a lead. And UCLA was able to kind of wiggle out of it. I believe they brought in Hawk, who ended up getting the win in that Mississippi State game at some point in our game. So, yeah, you know what? It was the final score looked way worse than the actual ball game was. I thought Teagan competed his hind end off, and they made him punish on the few mistakes that they punished him on the few mistakes that he did make. But I liked the way he looked, and that was an offense that was coming off a midweek loss, and I kind of knew when really good teams have a midweek loss, Tennessee's been this way. You don't want to see them first thing on the weekend. Like, it's just weird how that works. But Tennessee needed their best punch on Friday to win that game. Didn't get it. So is what it is.
UCLA rolled with a bunch of pitchers to close out Tennessee. They brought in Jake Swinson after Stone Lawless's RBI single, and he got Manny to fly out to center, which I believe was you still had runners on first and second with a chance to really do some damage there, and Manny flew out to center field. And then in the 7th inning, they pitched Jack O'Connor. In the 8th inning, they pitched Eli Iwananaga. I apologize to our UCLA pitching friend there for butchering his name. And then they went to Hawk there in the bottom of the 8th after Blaine Brown was hit by a pitch. He advanced to second on a wild pitch, and Tyler Myatt walked. But at that point, the game was pretty much out of reach because Brandon Arvidsson had a tough outing, and then you had a couple of youngsters on the back end of that game not necessarily have their best stuff. So, yeah, I agree with those thoughts with you on whether that makes you feel better as a Tennessee fan or somebody who keeps up with Tennessee baseball. I think the offense being able to generate the extra base hits off of Teagan speaks to how talented that UCLA lineup was. I mean, 3 home runs, 5 extra base hits in total. I think that speaks to just how talented that lineup is. I think it's got a ton of depth. Again, I'm sure Gasparino will get moved up, and maybe he's just off to a hot start this season. Maybe I'll be curious to see if he sustains this because, like you said, he hasn't necessarily done this throughout the course of his entire career. So we'll be interested to see if he can keep up this pace. But Teagan agreed, fought his rear end off, and would still like to see him clean up a little bit of his command. He gives up the first home run because he leaves a fastball middle. I'm sure that's a pitch that he would like back. And then the other home run to left field, which I believe was the second one that he gave up, that went the opposite way. I didn't think it was a bad pitch. I thought it was a fastball on the paint, and the hitter did a good job of going the opposite way with it and just letting the the fastball velo do the work for him, essentially. And then that last one, the Gasparino. I mean, Teagan's running on, I don't know if fumes is the right word, but a long sit in the dugout. What was your thoughts on that, bringing Teagan back out after a long sit? Josh Elander said after the game, I was surprised to hear them say this, but he didn't go into detail about what about the metrics they liked, but the analytics, they liked Teagan's profile against Gasparino's profile. And Gasparino did not have a couple of good swings in his prior at-bats off of Teagan, if I remember correctly. So they felt good about that matchup on paper. But I don't know. I'm always kind of – you've lived this better and would know it better than I am, but I'm always kind of weary about guys sitting in the dugout for a long time and then coming back out there.
Yeah, especially when you're at the end of your rope and you've tightened the game up. You really want to keep momentum, and it's like they immediately kind of punch back. It's easy to say I don't like it after the fact, but because of the long sit and because of you were able to get some momentum, so let him end his outing on a high note, and it's like, hey, you gave us a chance, you fought. Let's bring in whoever for that matchup. But I also get the fact that, hey, you're reading the swings, and Gasparino did not look comfortable the first two ABs off of Teagan. So that's a hard one. And obviously made the wrong decision in that time, but who knows? The next time they do it, maybe he goes out and strikes a guy out on 3 pitches and then they pull him and it's like, perfect, good job. That's just the nature of the game. And he'll get better at making those decisions throughout the year and throughout the next however many years. But it's an art. It truly is. It's an art, and you don't know whether you made the right decision until it plays out. So that's what makes it so hard.
However many years, I thought the season was canceled and the Josh Elander era was canceled after 8 games. What do you mean? How many years?
Yeah.
Mr. Optimistic. You're being too optimistic over there, Mr. Heflin. Come on now. Elander's already been fired. Didn't you hear? Yeah. 8 games in, he's toast. Bring this Tony Vitello guy back. Bring back the manager of the San Francisco Giants.
There were a couple Tony moves early in his career that I'm sure we could have nitpicked as well.
1,000%.
Or late in his career. I don't know.
Here's a secret.
Ryan Roberts gets nitpicked on his decisions.
Here's a secret.
Your Yankees manager gets nitpicked.
That's exactly what I was about to say. There isn't a manager in baseball that doesn't get nitpicked. Who would you consider the best manager in baseball right now?
Shoot. The Brewers guy from who was at Arizona State has been phenomenal.
Yes.
You know who I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with Hinch in Detroit.
He does a really good job.
He's phenomenal.
You're referencing Pat Murphy as well, who gave a shout out to Andrew Fisher today for Fisher's new tattoo. Did you see Fisher's new tattoo?
I did not see Fisher's new tattoo.
A sick tattoo. It's Bruce Springsteen and Frank Sinatra, and just a portraits on his arm. Being a New Jersey guy, it's pretty sick, pretty sweet.
Maybe you go get the same one. I'm sure he'd be flattered.
I was actually gonna do I was going to honor the great Tennessee pitchers of the Tony Vitello era on my arm. I was going to get Will Heflin on my inner bicep, and then I couldn't decide whether to put you next to.
You're going to write the real number 11?
Yes. And I couldn't decide whether to put you next to Redmond or Camden. I'll have to consult those guys and see which one, who would like to stand next to who. Would you rather be standing next to Camden or Redmond?
Both.
Sean Hunley's got to mix in there somewhere. I may put Sean in front of you since he threw harder than you.
Did
But
he?
I don't know. I think, but maybe I need to put Redmond first since he kind of is tied with Todd Helton for the career saves record at Tennessee. We'll leave that conversation up for a different podcast. But on Teagan, I thought he was really good. Command could still be a little bit better. A couple of pitches he would like back. The defense we did not mention did not help him. Did not do him many favors. Let him down a couple of times. Should have been out of a couple of innings. I believe one home run came after one of those moments. So Teagan was really good. On the flip side of like, hey, should you feel better after watching UCLA play the rest of the weekend? What do you feel with Teagan striking out 10 against that lineup? Does that? I mean, we were already high on Teagan and believe he's going to have a great season and it'll translate and all this, all that. But does that make you feel any better as they gear up for SEC play? That if he can strike out 10 against that lineup, that will continue to translate and he'll continue to build upon that as they get ready for SEC play? Because it's crazy, but this is the final week of non-conference play. SEC play is here next week, which is hard to believe.
Yeah, to answer your question, sure. For sure. I think you always take away what you did well. And with his stuff, he needs to be making guys swing and miss. And he was. So he can build on that result, even though he doesn't like it. But I guess my question is you said there were a couple innings where he should have been out of and wasn't. Are you saying that Levi was in fact on the bag on that scoop play which was followed by a home run when they refused to overturn what seemed to be a pretty just let me insert myself moment from the umpiring crew? Whether his toe was off the bag or not, we see that play 99 times, and 99 times the umpire raises his fist for out and everybody says good job.
Look,
but
all
he
I know,
may have ever so slightly inched off the bag when he was striding forward, not up, not to the side, forward. Just like first basemen do on a double play, they come off the bag as they catch the ball all the time. As long as the throw is in line, no questions asked. If you can't tell from my tone, Ben and I we had a couple back and forths this weekend, but that one was probably the best one. He said that Levi, the runner, should have been called safe. I said, that's bull malarkey. He's out. Let's move on. It was a phenomenal pick by Levi, and his right spike may have been a millimeter off the bag, which the angle that I saw, he was on the bag when the ball was entering the glove. He subsequently lifted to regain balance and then went back on the bag, as you would expect. But I saw in one motion a step catch and the runner crossing. It looked like a normal baseball play to me, and I was frustrated. Clearly.
You were certainly frustrated. All I said was, based off of the replay I've seen in the stadium, he looked like his foot was off the bag, and you would have thought that I said, along with these other dummies, that Josh Elander needs to be fired after 8 games, the way Will attacked me over text message.
No, I thought you said, screw your son who's about to be born and screw your whole family. That's what
that was your reaction. You would have thought that I would have said that. And
that's what I heard. I don't, whatever your narrative is, I wasn't listening to it.
Well, I also think we were critiquing different things at the time.
You were critiquing the throw. It should have been a better throw, and I acknowledge that. But it was also a phenomenal catch.
Tangent.
I was on my umpire tangent, and I was also just on the normalities of the game tangent. On those pick plays are not where you see foot off the bag calls. Can you admit that? That's not typically where you see a foot off the bag call, and I think that's why it ruffled my feathers so much.
I agree with you on the foot off the bag thing, but his foot did look like it came off the bag. That's the only thing that I said, based off the replays that I saw inside the stadium. I was at the very tip top of the stadium, where their press box is located. But yes, I do agree that you typically do not see that play called, and that was one that did affect Teagan. I forget which inning that was. That was so many days ago, and so much baseball has been played since then. But I
That was
believe,
the third, I believe, second or third.
yes, did
It was
that set
early.
up the
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 first
3-run
homer.
homer or the 2-run homer, whatever it was?
Yeah.
Yes, sounds right.
What about the one at the plate? I think you said you believed he was out, and they kept the ruling of safe on the field. Reese threw out the runner. This was
Yeah.
a different game.
Yeah, it was the Arizona State game.
Yeah.
I thought the umpires got that one wrong. I was surprised that they did not overturn it. Maybe I can see the argument that there wasn't 100% evidence. I know there's a screenshot going around the internet of it it appearing that the tag was beating the runner, touching home plate, but I didn't think that you could 100% say that the glove was touching the Arizona State runner. But
Mm.
the other thing that I would add to that, even though I do believe he was out, but I don't know if it was 100% tagging the runner in the midst of that screenshot. Stone's leg was doing a good job of blocking the plate, so I don't see how he got his hand in there to touch home.
The only thing he could have touched was shin guard, in my
Yes.
opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'd like to propose when plays go to review, we're not trying to prove a murder, right? We don't need indisputable beyond any doubt. Like, let's just get the call right. When you go to replay, it should be not a fully clean slate, but the call on the field should not be like the main thing that they go off of. If you're not going to okay, the one at first base, I'll give you, it was close. That one, everyone can agree he looks out. So why is he not called out? Because the guy on the field calling it at 100 miles an hour decided safe in a split second? Like, no. Just when you go to replay, just go into it with an open mind. That's all I ask. And I know they're not going to do that because they don't do that in football. They don't do it in any replay review in sports, but they should, because the whole upheld is a cop out, or stands is a cop out. Like, we have frame by frame, brother. Confirm the thing one way or another. And if it's that close, then you need to come out there and explain it. But the whole stands, give me a break.
Yeah.
I hate that shit. Excuse me.
I'm with you. Now, if it were on the flip side and Tennessee was trying to score, you would. Hey, I need
I call
100%
balls and
evidence.
strikes.
I know
I will call it as I see it.
I know you
and
do.
I am a purist of the game, and I want the calls right. If the ball's off the plate, it's a ball. I don't believe in too close to take. It's either a ball or a strike. There is no gray area. The plate is 19 inches wide, 17 inches wide, however wide. If it is beyond that, it's a ball. There is no, oh, well, it was close. It's ball and strike. There is no bike. You like that?
It also seemed like the other call that was questionable. I did not see a replay on this or a good replay of it, but the Jay Abernathy hit by pitch when Jay claimed he was hit on, I believe that was Sunday. Again, I did not see a good replay. Those moments in the game where they do stop and go review it, as somebody who is working the game and has to have a story ready at the buzzer, I enjoy those moments because we call that writing time. So I'm busy trying to write while the game is paused, essentially. So I did not do a good job of paying attention to the replay, but I did see some people that were surprised that did not get overturned and ruled that he was hit by a pitch because they felt like they could see the ball ricochet off of Jay.
Yeah, it was a graze off the knee. For me, you can typically know by the batter's reaction because you don't have time to process that. And his leg kind of twitched and made a movement afterward like it was hit. And then he realized he wasn't getting the call, and he was like, wait a minute. It was just too quick of a reaction to where,
to fake it.
Yeah, to be acting. It was a true reaction. I didn't look at that one super closely either. I was doing something else as well. But he ended up walking, so that one's not as memorable.
Yeah. Jay, while we're on the topic of Jay did not have a hit this weekend. He was 0 for 9, I believe. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little too soft here, but he was 0 for 9. But I still thought it was a pretty good weekend for Jay. He drew 5 walks. It felt like multiple walks, came in key moments as well, scored 3 runs on a weekend where runs were at a premium for Tennessee. So, of course, you don't want to go 0 for 9. Let's see how many times he struck out. He did strike out 6 times, which is not ideal. But even with that, if I were to view it through the glass half full prism, a lot of full counts, a lot of fouling balls off. Like he didn't look lost at the plate. He didn't look like a guy that went 0 for 9. It looked like he was really seeing the ball well, and maybe was a bit indecisive within full counts, and he let some go by that he shouldn't have. But for the most part, I thought he saw the ball well. So there were a couple of people. I'm bringing this up because I saw a couple of people complaining about Jay going 0 for 9. Somebody said, "Oh, I don't ever want to hear people complain about Ariel while the leadoff guy's going 0 for 9." And it's like, well, I mean, Jay still had 5 walks and was seeing the ball pretty well. Worked multiple full counts, found the ball
And
off.
he's still hitting over 350. So let's relax on that comp.
I agree.
Yeah, he was seeing it well because the counts and the at-bats he put together, but the swing was a little off. There were some fastballs, maybe upper middle part of the zone that he was under. Maybe the swing was a little too big. That can happen in a ballpark like that. Just trying to do too much for Jay this weekend, but he can fix that quickly and get back
I'm not
to
worried
how
about
he
him.
was. No, I'm not worried about him either. He was off this weekend, I will admit.
Yeah, for sure. Again, not trying to totally excuse him. I just don't.
He just missed a few early that he normally doesn't miss. And when you're in constant deep counts, the result is strikeouts and walks. And he got plenty of both, right? Only one more strikeout than walk, but no hits. And there were a couple balls he hit hard just on the ground and more towards the middle. And there's some weekends where he hits 3 of those that are right up the middle, and there's no way you're going to throw them out, even if they cut you off. And then you're looking at a 3 for 9 weekend with 5 walks, and they're like, wow, what a leadoff. So that's the margin, right? But he didn't square any up like he had the prior few weekends. And I just think it was a result of he missed a few pitches that he shouldn't have missed. And he also got some of the tougher sequences. Like he got dotted a couple times where he struck out on pitches that were good pitches like he needed to swing at or good pitches that completely froze him, which happens when you're facing good teams. So he'll bounce back.
To put a bow on the UCLA loss before we catch a timeout, Brandon Arvidsson, also not worried about him.
Second outing off the injury. He didn't have it early. That was the other thing about the decisions in that game. Arvidsson clearly wasn't there. And, if I'm saying they need to get him out of there, they need to get him out of there, right? Because he just did not have it, especially with how opportunistic UCLA was that entire day. I think you've got a chance to keep that to run. They have a lot of trust in him, and that's part of the deal. Hoping he can work his way through it. But maybe that's a result of his first outing of the year. They extended him more than what he thought they would. And it took him a little longer to recover, and he just wasn't. Maybe also being back in Texas, overthrowing a little bit, just trying too hard, trying to do too much like that. That could be a theme of the weekend. But yeah, I'm not worried about Arvidsson. I would have liked to see him go back in Sunday, but Krenzel was so damn good that it didn't matter. So
I think he would have.
Yeah, I think he would have too. He was down there.
Elander told Wilkerson during his pregame interview that during Saturday's game, or maybe it was after the game, Arvidsson came up to Elander and was like, I don't know exactly what he said, but essentially, I want the ball on Sunday. I want to pitch again. So, Of course, they're going to be cautious with him coming off of the arm soreness and not push it too much. But Arvidsson did want to get the ball again on Sunday to kind of make up for Friday, but I'm not worried about him at all. Now,
Next week's Krenzel. Remember how bad Krenzel was against Kent State?
Yes,
and then Arvidsson was bad. And Krenzel was it flip-flops. And
and look, we're gonna
better as they go.
We're going to talk about the bullpen because I owe an apology based off of this weekend for sure. We're going to talk about that on the other side of the timeout, but I will nitpick Mr. Elander a little bit. I'm curious your thoughts. You and I did not text about this, but I was texting with others, and it's kind of a mixed response. I did not like bringing Arvidsson in that moment. I I want Arvidsson to come in when Tennessee is leading. I don't like using him unless your season is on the line or a series is on the line on a Sunday maybe and he hasn't really been used. Like, okay, I get that. But early in the weekend, I don't know that I like using your best arm in a game that you're losing. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's the thing. You have him hot, ready to go, thinking it's a one-run game.
Mm-hmm.
In which are you okay with using him in a 5-4 game, knowing you have 3 at bats left, and you just took all the momentum?
Not the way that the offense has been swinging. I guess, and granted, at the time, we did not know what the offense was going to look like on Saturday and Sunday. But I don't know. He's just a guy that I prefer him to come in and close the game out. I think, and this is also
I think they planned for him to. I think they intended for him to. Yeah.
But my thing is, why let him close out a loss? Because I feel like the likelihood of the offense producing enough runs to win it was slim.
But you'd like to think, okay, we just scored 4 runs or 3 runs. Our offense is coming together. UCLA's bullpen, certainly not the strong suit of their team. Odds are they're not going to hold us down and win this game 5-4. So you bring in Arvidsson thinking we're going to get the man a win rather than a save. I agree with you completely. But that was the line of thinking to bring him in when they did. And when Coons gave up the homer, you couldn't sit him down. He was the guy who was ready. So I didn't have that big a problem with that, with him coming in. But once they saw that the command was not there, he should have been pulled quicker. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. And even after the home run, it's still a 2-run game against the number 1 team in the country. I just take the logos off, just kind of like my baseball philosophy in general. My best bullpen arm, I want to use late innings while my team's winning. That's just my generic belief.
Yeah. So I agree with that wholeheartedly.
That's where my nitpick comes from.
But typically in a series, you're playing the same team that next day and the day after that. You know that this is the best team you're playing on the weekend. Does that change?
Yeah.
It changed their line of thinking. Does it?
Yeah.
Does that make you hate it less? Knowing that you're better than Arizona State and Virginia Tech and UCLA, you're probably equally talented.
Yeah, it does for sure. I guess I just did not have a ton of confidence that Tennessee was going to win that game, even with it being a close one. But of course, the coaches in the dugout are not going to think like that and should not think like that. So I get it. I really do.
Yeah.
But the bullpen certainly picked things up the rest of the weekend, and I'm excited to talk about the bullpen on the other side of this quick timeout here on the Diamond Vols Podcast on GoVols247.com. Welcome back into the Diamond Vols Podcast on GoVols247.com. I'm Ben McKee, and I'm joined by former Tennessee pitcher Will Heflin, who I assume enjoyed watching the Tennessee bullpen the final 2 days of Tennessee's weekend in Texas. You name the arm out of the bullpen. They pitched well on Saturday and Sunday, and Landon Mack was good. Evan Blanco was good. But in my opinion, Will, the bullpen won them the games, quite literally, each of those last 2 days. Very, very, very impressive work. We can start with the 2 arms we saw against Arizona State first before we talk about Krenzel and Mack on Sunday. Brady Frederick, after Landon Mack, was really good. 2 innings, 1 run that was not earned. He gave up 1 hit, struck out 1. Faced 7 batters, 33 pitches, just very, very efficient. And then Cameron Appenzeller, that was another back and forth that you and I had, not in a bad way, just kind of we actually had the same line of thinking, whoa, this is a big moment for the freshman. And then he comes in that big moment, struck out the first guy that he faced, but then he allowed a walk, then he allowed a single, and you and I are kind of texting back and forth I don't know. I think I would get him out of here. It doesn't look like he's got it. But then he bounces back after a mound visit with a strikeout and a can of corn to the outfield. So just really impressive work by Cameron Appenzeller to buckle down and grit through that inning, and then came back out for the ninth and was just absolutely dominant. 1, 2, 3, very quick inning to pick up his first career save, a 2-inning save, a strikeout, a ground out, and a fly out in the ninth inning, and that's how you draw it up right there.
Yeah, I think with him being the freshman and the spot that he came in that you just talked about, he's probably the main takeaway out of the bullpen. Just the word is growth. The phenomenal to see him grow right before our eyes. I think everybody sees that breaking ball and can understand why that arm is so highly touted. The fastball has a ton of jump on it, but that breaking ball is ridiculous. It is sharp. He got some swords on that thing. The one where it started he threw it to a righty, and I think it started off the plate away and broke and dang near hit him on the back hip and got the sword. And that one was just gross. But to your point, Ben, about us going back and forth, this is the flip side of that coin where we're like, in the whole leave him in, take him out debates, is like we were dead wrong on those, because I was like, please, like, take him out. He got a good out. He made it through the eighth. They left him in. He made it through. I was like, okay, bring in somebody for the ninth. They roll him back out, and he just cruises in the ninth. And so that's the side of the coin when you make that decision to leave a guy in, and he makes you look really smart. So Appenzeller, phenomenal. Frederick, really good. A little squirrely. Would like to see a little bit more command from him early in counts. Still too many hit by pitches from our staff as a whole on the weekend, but the bullpen just battled in 2 games where they really needed it, and more specifically the Arizona State game. There was pressure a lot that entire game on Mac and the bullpen, and they just kept wiggling out. That was a very competitive. You could tell that they were like, we are not going to give this game away. We're just not going to let it happen. Because Arizona State, you could argue, is not the best offense they saw all weekend, but certainly the second best, and not too far off of what UCLA has. Arizona State for the early part of the year has been really offensive, and Tennessee just held them down. They came in with some big time numbers, and they really struggled on the mound. They were able to hold us down for the most part, but we held their high powered offense down. So just phenomenal from those 2 guys on Saturday when Tennessee really needed it.
8 hit batters this weekend from the Tennessee pitching staff. Now
we got to be leading the country.
I would imagine so. I'll let you look up that number. I've seen enough hit by pitches in person to make me believe it, and that's good enough for me. Now you could spin it to be a positive if you really wanted to. Abraham hit 2, Arvidsson hit 1, Deering hit 1. So 4 of the 8 came when the bullpen completely melted down against UCLA. The bullpen did not hit a batter either of the last 2 days. And then Blanco hit 3 more. So Blanco accounts for 3 of the 8. So something that you definitely got to clean up. But, hey, at least they did clean it up the final 2 days in the bullpen, because those you would have lost those games had you not, quite frankly. There was no room for error, and they were able to work through that. On Sunday, Mark Hindy, you and I said we wanted to see Mark Hindy. He comes in a big moment in the 6th after Blanco gets done pitching. He allows a 1-out single. He hits the next batter. There's runners on first and second. I mentioned on the podcast last week that, hey, Hindy was really good against Virginia Tech while he was at Duke last year, and that success paid off. I asked Josh Elander after the game if that played a part, Hindy's success against Virginia Tech last season, if it played a part in him bringing in Hindy in that moment on Sunday, and he said it did a little bit, but it wasn't completely that. He said that he and Zach Stovall, talked about it the night before, and some of it was matchup stuff. Virginia Tech had back-to-back lefties, also had a righty mixed in there, and they liked the matchup there as a lefty with Hindi. So some of it was matchup based, but also some of it was the success that he had against Virginia Tech last year, and that carried on, and that was a big moment for him to come in and get a strikeout and then get a pop-up in foul territory to first base against a Knoxville native, Hudson Lutterman, who played at Knoxville Catholic. There, a big moment in the game. You had the tying run on first and the go-ahead run at the plate. So we mentioned we wanted to see Mark Hindi. We saw Mark Hindi in a high-leverage situation. He came through, looked really good. I want to see more Mark Hindi. He keeps climbing my totem pole of trust in the bullpen.
Keep climbing. Yes. Tennessee, not even close to leading the country.
Really?
BYU in hit by pitches. BYU has 30 already.
30?
That is absurd.
How many does Tennessee have now?
It's got Tennessee on here at 10. I know we're higher than 10, but we are not 30.
I think they might be close to 30.
No.
Why do they only have Tennessee as 10? Because it is not 10.
They got it listed.
They had
as
10 against
8 games. So the NCAA.com just hasn't updated recently.
Yeah, because they hit 10 against Kent State, didn't they?
Oh, this is saying through games Thursday, February 26th.
So add 20. Add 10 from this weekend to that total.
Okay. Well,
why have they not updated
this doesn't include, if no one else hit anybody the entire weekend, nobody else in the whole country, Tennessee would be 20th with 20. So they're probably somewhere between 20 and 50 in terms of rank, which is not good, but it's not as bad as I thought. There's a lot of hit by pitches going around.
A lot.
Delaware State with a smooth 29 in only 7 games played. So I'm assuming that number went up as well if they played this weekend. But back to the bullpen.
18, according to Tennessee's website.
Very high on Hindi. Krenzel bounce back. Krenzel just.
What was he doing? What does Hindi do well? What does Hindi stuff look like? Yes.
He looks big out there. I mean, there's guys that are big, and then there's guys that get out there and look really big. Like Hindi looks big.
You should see him in person. He is all bit of 6'4", 225.
It is a sharp angle with the long arms, and it's a not a sidearm slot, but it's certainly not over the top. And it's just a big sweeping breaking ball.
Like 3/4?
Yeah, he's like kind of 3/4, but it looks like it's coming from behind the ear a little bit. It's just funky lefty. Like it's not a fun at bat if you're a left-handed hitter, and probably not a right-handed hitter either because it's coming in at an angle. And he was real close from that thing going the other way, but made a big time pitch on 3-1 to make it 3-2 to his first hitter, because he was first and second, 1 out, and a 3-1 count. Like he was a ball away from loading the bases and probably getting yanked. Comes back, strikes the guy out, throws a strike on 3-1, and then gets the chase on 3-2 with a really competitive pitch, strikeout pitch, and then gets out of it. So it's again, that's how the margins are so tight in this deal, but that's what you got to be in the bullpen. You got to be willing to deal with razor thin margins, and one pitch can make or break you. You just don't know which pitch is going to be, but clearly when it's 3-1 count, like that's a pretty big pitch. So big time there. And then Krenzel, you can see early with Krenzel, you know, from the jump what it's going to be with him, because his fastball has crazy run and sink, and it is a true bowling ball. And there's not many guys in today's game that do it, especially not as well as him. In a world of everybody wants to backspin it and throw it at the top of the zone and get swing and miss underneath the baseball, Krenzel throws a true power sinker. But there's days where he just sprays it, right? And he can tunnel the slider off of it. But when it doesn't have the bite, he can get hammered, and early, and he was able to locate a few early and got a few swing and misses. And then it's like, that was one of those days where they could have played another 6 innings and they probably wouldn't have got to Braden Krenzel. He just has days like that. You just want as many of those as you can get, and not what happened last weekend. So really positive out of him. He needed that. They needed that. I'm glad he was able to finish it. When he came in, I was trying to game plan. I was like, are they going to go to Rudy? Are they going to go back to Arvidsson? And then once he got through 6 outs, it was like, they're not going to anybody.
They would have gone to Rudy if they had to go to somebody.
Yeah. But Arvidsson was hot too, or he was at least down there.
Yeah, I guess it would have depended on if there was maybe a lefty at the plate.
Elander,
I made my comment because Elander, Rudy was down there, and then that was one of the things that Elander pointed out post-game, was like, man, we didn't get Rudy in. He was disappointed that they didn't get Rudy in, and mentioned that he'll be one of the first guys to throw Tuesday against ETSU.
Okay. Well, good. I mean, hey, look, it's early. He didn't do well in his opportunity, but that does not mean that he won't be the main guy in the bullpen down the stretch. Like it is, like you said, Hendy's up the totem pole this week, and Hendy's got a chance to climb it, going forward. So it's all, everything is a long way away from being written in stone.
Week by week.
Yeah, week by week, for sure. And I think under different, it was just the way the weekend played out. UCLA, you're not going to bring him in that situation. And then the other 2 games, you had 2 guys that just not necessarily put in to finish the game, and they just finished the game. So that's the way it played out. But it'll be good to see Rudy get some work in the midweek, and I would imagine he'll get an opportunity next weekend.
No doubt about it. 5 games this week. They're going to need Rudy twice.
That's right. They have Tennessee Tech Wednesday.
No.
They have ETSU Tuesday, and then
Oakland Wednesday.
Not Oakland, California.
The basketball team, or the basketball team, Oakland, who was really good a couple of years ago.
Same
Tennessee
school,
fans, it's BFFs.
Same school?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
Yeah.
The Oakland Grizzlies, the one that upset Kentucky in the NCAA tournament. And what was the white boy's name who couldn't miss?
I don't know, but it is them.
Yes.
It's their baseball team.
They're from Detroit area?
Wisconsin?
Pretty sure it's Detroit area, because I remember seeing them when we went up to Detroit a couple of years ago for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, the Dalton Connect year, when they played Creighton and Purdue. And then they'll play Wright State this weekend, a familiar foe who doesn't look as good as they typically do, but they did take one from Georgia on Sunday, I believe it was, and then they got the brakes beat off of them the other days. With the bullpen, I apologize. I doubted y'all, and y'all proved me wrong this weekend against Arizona State and Virginia Tech. We'll see if they can sustain it.
Detroit.
Look at me. Look at me. Yep. The Grizzlies.
Put one on the board for Ben.
Who a rare one for Ben. Who's the better Grizz? Oakland or Ethan Payne?
Ethan Payne, for sure. They don't even have grizzly bears in Oakland. We got them here in East Tennessee, brother.
They don't have them in Oakland, California, Sacramento, California, or Detroit, Michigan.
We got them here, brother. We don't have them in Memphis, but they are in
Memphis at the zoo, baby. The Memphis Zoo, one of my favorites.
They're in Detroit at the zoo.
That's true. All right. We are making an effort to be more efficient with our podcast times tonight, and we still have a couple more topics we need to discuss. So my biggest takeaway was the bullpen. Kudos to them. Makes me feel better about Tennessee as a club coming out of the weekend. What was your biggest takeaway from the weekend?
The defense, second 2 days. Levi Clark looked phenomenal behind the dish on Sunday. Manny played a phenomenal shortstop.
Henry cleaned things up and looked much better Saturday and Sunday after a rough Friday.
He did. He made some nice plays. We had some really sweet double plays that were much needed and not easy to turn given the circumstances.
I'll tell you who looked good. Those pair of left fielders, Myatt and
Yeah,
Brown, they
yeah.
didn't look out of place out there in
No,
left
the
field.
one Myatt dove for, I don't know that he necessarily needed to dive for it. He's kind of running in quicksand, but hey, catch the ball, brother. Good job. I'm sure he took some flack for it on the bus or in the dugout, but that's fine. You're in there to drive in runs. Just go catch them however you can do it. I don't care. And Brown looked comfortable out there, which was good to see. And he's tall, man. Like some of those line drives that are just over the reach, those real hard top spun ones from righties sometimes. It's nice having a tall left fielder because you can steal an out or two. I remember one thinking that it was going to be, he made it look pretty easy just reaching up and snagging it. I would have been, full extension jump, probably fell on my face and hit off my glove and gone over the wall for a home run. But luckily for all you guys, I'm not in left field.
I think lucky for you're not in left field too.
Yeah, no doubt. Can't see. My biggest takeaway offensively is still just stuck in the mud. And there were some guys like I've been really critical of Levi. I really have been on air and off the record. I've been very critical of Levi to start the year. His at bats the whole weekend looked really good, and he got very little to show for it. I was glad he finally got a double. Probably one of his worst swings of the weekend was the one that he hooked down the line. But he hit two balls, I know of for sure, over 400 feet that were both outs. He hit one backside against UCLA. I believe it was his first at bat. Absolutely smoked in the gap, right center. Right fielder caught it just before the tracker, one step on, but it wasn't a pop up. It was on a line. He had the big sac fly for an insurance run. Needed that. I've been very critical of Levi. He took a step in the right direction this weekend. I hope that gets him going. It's kind of one of those things. It's like maybe moving him behind the plate took his mind off of hitting, and he just went up there and hit because he hit like he was smoked balls all day on Sunday. And it was when he was catching. And usually it's the other way around, right? You move the catcher off catching and then he can, focus a little bit more on hitting. But for Levi, maybe he's got too much going on for hitting. So give him something else to worry about. And then he can just go be an athlete in the box. But, Chapman struggled. We mentioned Abernathy struggled. Ford had a nice weekend and Brown, they both had hits, but we had one homer on the weekend. One homer, and it was my guy, Newstrom, all you people who were doubting him looked dumb as heck. Because I'll put my hand up on UCLA. I was maybe a little too critical on him, but Chris Newstrom, breakout candidate, looking pretty smart right now because he had
you were not feeling good about that last weekend, though.
No, I was not. But he and Manny from the right-handed side, it doesn't get much prettier on a right-handed swing. They are pure strikers of the baseball with their swing. And like Manny's dealing with the hand injury. Do not worry about Manny offensively. He will come around. Newstrom came. Yeah, well, relax. Take it from me.
How did Aaron Rodgers say it?
Newstrom is absolutely puring the baseball, like backspin, gap to gap. It's obvious. He needs to be in the lineup every day, and I hope he probably will be, but he needs to be.
No, he needs to be because he's got some stuff to him. We talked about it for 2 years now on the pod. He has an edge, and he's got some FU to him in the best way possible. That this young core needs
that presence in the box.
Yes,
the way he takes a pitch.
Yes,
he's a ball player. He is a baseball player. And there's just little things that are really hard to teach or to even develop as a baseball player that he can naturally do, which is pick up spin and take a really good slider and go up there and kind of understand how they're going to attack him and smoke it the other way. Or know that, hey, my team, we're down 6 runs. I'm going to get my swing off. Let me hit a home run. Like he's just a ball player, and you're right. He's got some juice. He's got some moxie. He's got some swag. Whatever you want to say, I don't care. But he can run. They can put him anywhere in the field, and he's a plus defender on the infield or plus in the outfield. So that's my guy. and all you that doubted him look dumb for now. But long season to go. So Newey,
I,
you better keep it up.
I'm with you on Newstrom. I've been all in on him from day one.
And then you touched on it, Brown, the chase. A lot of
Starting to chase
chase.
a little bit more.
He ain't seen a pitch he doesn't like yet.
No, you're not in Conference USA anymore, my brother.
Gosh, that swing looks so good. And when he laces one, that ball he hit the right field, I think they said it was like 110. Yep. That was a misread. That was like 120. And his swing is money. I mean, it is pure, but he needs a little bit more of the ball player in him. Let the game come to you. And I get it, especially when collectively you're struggling as an offense. The middle of the order guys feel the weight bestowed upon themselves to, hey, I got to get us out of this. But you can't hit an eight run home run, and you certainly don't get any extra runs for hitting it 450 feet. So square the thing up with backspin, take your walks when you get them, because look, here's the reality with Brown. If Levi and Reese are behind you, with how much they've struggled, they are not going to pitch to you, Blaine. Until those two dudes can protect you, you're not going to see that great of stuff.
Take your walks.
And that's not trying to, pour salt in the wound of Reese and Levi. I just got done saying, Levi looked much, much better this weekend. But until their numbers and the tape looks consistently better, whoever's behind Ford, especially if Ford is not on, you're not getting nothing. Respectfully.
No, not at all. We talked about that last weekend. Ford, Brown, I feel like your two most dangerous overall hitters, at least right now. Teams are not going to pitch to them if Levi and Reese are going to continue to struggle. That's why Tennessee needs those guys to get it going. And I agree with Will's sentiment on Levi. I thought Levi had a good weekend. You mentioned what he did on Sunday. He also had a nice end to Saturday's game as well. He had a double in the seventh inning or so that he smoked down the left field line. And then he also is the one who provided the big sac fly in the ninth inning, if I remember correctly.
He did.
After the Blaine Brown double, Blaine takes third on a wild pitch. Yeah, Blaine led off the top of the ninth with a double.
Sunday? Or that was Saturday. You're right. It was a one-run game.
Arizona State.
Yeah.
And Blaine leads off the inning with a double. Arizona State goes to old pal Derek Schaefer out of the bullpen. Schaefer throws a wild pitch. Brown goes to third, and then Levi drives him in on a sac fly to deep right field. What's that?
Schaefer looked good, by the way.
Are you saying that sarcastically?
No. He was up to like 97.
No, I agree. He seems that just looking at it from the stats, I mean, it seems like
he was from out there. And for those that don't remember, he was a freshman on the 24 team, which was a tough team to get any innings on, and he left after that year, which is understandable and part of it in today's game.
Yep, went back home. He and Matthew Dallas were supposed to be the next two big Tennessee pitchers, and didn't work out for two different.
Dallas.
Didn't work out for different reasons.
Yeah, he can kick rocks.
But speaking of transfers, shout out Michael Sharman, your guy.
Shout out Sharman.
Big weekend.
Big time. Happy for him. He was an easy guy to root for.
Yeah, still is, and wish him the best. Great young man. I was going to add on Newstrom, talking about the stuff and kind of the FU to him. Like, he walks around with that presence. I don't know what he is behind the scenes. All I've ever heard is like he's just really wants to win.
Probably a weird guy, like most of them.
He's a baseball player. Just kind of the way he carries himself. It didn't really want anything to do with his post-game interview after the UCLA loss on Friday night. You could tell he was aggravated, mad. I did think Josh Elander had an interesting quote about him after the Arizona State game. He mentioned that Newstrom's parents both were Division I athletes at Arizona State, so he was glad he was wearing a Tennessee uniform on Saturday. But he was asked about the maturation of Newstrom, and he said that we've been wanting a little more consistency, a little more sense of urgency. So our staff has done a good job of challenging him a little bit. But when he's locked in, he's as good a player in the league. So a good it, stock up, trending in the right direction for Newstrom, Levi at the plate. Need some others to join in on that. Manny is dealing with the hand, like you mentioned, but need to get him on the right trajectory at the plate. Stone had a strong weekend for a catcher. I feel like nothing to nitpick there, at least from me. Had the nice RBI single against UCLA to make it a 1-run game, which leads me to our question of we've been pretty optimistic talking about these guys the last few minutes, but just overall, they still hit 206 as a team for the weekend, which is not going to cut it in SEC play. So how concerned are you with the offense? I fall in the category of they're going to continue to take some lumps, but I think in the beginning of May, I think you're going to see a totally different Tennessee lineup than the struggles that we see now. That's been my biggest takeaway from early in the season is that this team is going to take more lumps at the plate than I initially anticipated, and they're going to need more time to develop and get better and become accustomed to this level of baseball because there are so many newcomers, because they are so young. I did not think that they were going to need a grace period, and I know it's tough as a fan to give them a grace period while it's happening because it's so frustrating to watch. But I really feel like there's so much potential in the lineup. They just need to get out there and play, get at bats, and by the time May rolls around, I think this offense is going to be rolling because you see Levi Clark at his best. You see Chris Newstrom at his best. You see Jay Abernathy at his best. Manny Marin, Tyler Myatt, Blaine Brown, Henry Ford. You've still got Blake Grimmer coming back, and they believe that Grimmer's going to be one of the better hitters on this team as well. Garrett Wright seems to be more of a defensive guy. He hit well at Bowling Green, but how does that transition to the SEC? We'll see. He'll be a great pickup for the defense until we see what he is as a hitter. But right now, I just think that they're going through growing pains, and it's frustrating, and it needs to be better. But like in terms of like gauging my level of concern, they're not where I thought they would be going into SEC play, but I still really like the long-term potential if they continue to get better over the course of the next several weeks.
That's a really good way to put it. And yeah, we were optimistic for a while there, and it's not been good. 207, not good. But I see it the way you see it. Like if you ask me which lineup is probably better top to bottom, this team or last year's team, it's this year's team. Just in terms of depth and overall talent. And we're talking about a lineup with Andrew Fisher and Gavin Keelan and Dean Curley and some others who aren't there anymore. But I think, a lot of the production in this lineup has come from the bottom, and that's not necessarily something we've had the past few years. It's been very like most baseball teams should be. It's top heavy. But I think the ceiling for this team is an extremely balanced and deep lineup. But it is rough right now. And I don't know if it's a result of, like you said, growing pains, which I think is certainly part of it. But I think it's also they've gotten themselves in a rut where they're kind of thinking about it a little bit and saying, gosh, why, we're not hitting like we should be. You look on paper and you're like, they've got power, they've got speed, they've got all these different things. They've got guys both sides of the plate who should be dangerous. But they're probably like 2 or 3 guys clicking and providing consistent pressure from really seeing an offense that kicks it into gear, because you can have 2 or 3 guys with great weekends and still hit 207 as a team, right? You need 5 or 6 guys that have good weekends so that you can have multiple innings in a, we'll say 3-inning grouping where you're going to have pressure, right? And you have leadoff guys on constantly, and you have runners in scoring position. And there's going to be days like Tennessee had on the mound on Saturday where you work out of that and you don't score as an offense if you're Arizona State. But Tennessee's innings right now where they don't score are like nothing. 3 up, 3 down. Too easy. Too many free outs. So that's the maturation that we need to see. I'm still optimistic on it as a whole. But you're right. There's going to be some lumps. But I do remember the team that was last, or I think they were ahead of Missouri at the time, halfway through the SEC schedule, about 3 hours west of here, caught fire and started hitting homers left and right. And everybody was like, what in the world got into Vanderbilt? And it was like, well, they had a bunch of young dudes that
We're
kind of
talented.
came together and talented and started clicking. And they ended up being the 1 seed. Just to choke away their own regional, but that's a different story. And
They did not have a good weekend this weekend. After living in Tennessee's mentions, baseball got struck down on them.
Yeah, I think that happened to several fan bases this weekend.
Who else?
So why don't we all just worry about our teams for a minute? No, that's what makes it great.
Did LSU end up losing tonight?
I didn't look. I knew they were playing Northeastern.
They were down 8-0 last I saw.
LSU's offense has struggled this year a little bit. They've had a couple games where they banged it around, but I think they beat Dartmouth like 3-1 the other day. They're down 13-5. So
yes, they were down 10-0 in the third inning at one point. Who struggled this weekend?
I don't know that you want to be the
Arkansas,
Monday starter though in the SEC. Do what?
What'd you just say?
I don't know that you want to be the Monday starter. I don't think that Cade Anderson is pitching tonight for LSU. Clearly,
why are they playing on a Monday? That is strange. Of course, this time of year, keeping up with Tennessee each day and being out of town, keeping up with Tennessee basketball is frustrating. Lost to Alabama. Didn't get to watch much other SEC baseball, but I do know that Vanderbilt struggled. LSU, who else struggled? Arkansas, didn't they lose a game?
Yeah, they lost on Friday to UT Arlington. They won the next two. LSU, I believe, had a good weekend. They're just losing their Monday game. Alabama had a nice showing this weekend. Florida swept the 2 games in Miami. Game 3 was canceled. If you thought Florida was down for the count because of the Sully situation in the fall and they lost a couple of their coaches, yeah, they look good. They look good, which stinks. But South Carolina won Friday against Clemson and then lost the next 2, so they lost that series. We know what A&M did. They were in the same tournament as Tennessee. Texas had a nice weekend. They swept the Bruce Bolt Classic at the Astros Stadium. I think Ole Miss lost 2 in that one. They blew a lead late to Baylor, beat Ohio State, and then I believe they lost yesterday. I forget who they were playing. Who am I leaving out? Kentucky didn't really play anybody, I don't think. Georgia.
South Carolina.
Yeah. Auburn had a nice home series win against Nebraska. Auburn looks very strong again this year. People forget they were the number 4 overall seed last year and lost in super regionals to Coastal, who ran through everybody until they made it to the title series and lost to LSU. So, lot going on in around the league. It is preseason. It is truly growing pains for everyone. But overall, to wrap up that long-winded way of saying there is concern about the offense, and it is completely warranted. But there is also warrant for being optimistic. And I think both sides are fair. As long as you can acknowledge when you see progress, then you can criticize when it's not good enough.
And I think you can be both. I think you can be frustrated while watching in the moment and understand that right now it's not good enough, but also realizing that there's a lot of potential in the lineup, and Tennessee has a really good coaching staff, and I would bet on them having this lineup where it needs to be by the time May rolls around, which is the important time of the year. So we'll
I do
continue
need
to
to see.
monitor.
I do need to see some power come back. The one home run for me was concerning. That park played relatively offensive, unless you were hitting it to dead center. There were a lot of home runs hit this weekend, just not by Tennessee.
No, not at all. We will monitor that for sure. Couple more things before we get out of here. Are you willing to admit that Landon Mack has swag now?
He does have swag. He also has juice.
Juice, grit, stuff, FU, grittiness, whatever word you want to use. That outing on Saturday against Arizona State, a really good Arizona State lineup, like you mentioned, that had been red hot to start the
I think
season.
that win could help Tennessee down the road.
Yeah,
in
I
RPI.
totally agree.
That's a good ball plug.
It is.
Good ball club, and Willie Bloomquist has done a phenomenal job
Yep.
there. That's a team that college baseball is better when Arizona State's better.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. I've interrupted you. So just a really good performance from Landon Mack. Didn't have his best stuff, but gritted through it.
He did. I don't know that you can say he didn't have his best stuff. He made
He
some
said that. Those are his words.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever you say, Landon. Not what I saw. But you know you better than me. That's for sure. I've seen you pitch like 3 times, and you've seen you pitch your whole life. So we'll take you at your word. Stuff looked pretty good from the outside, though, I will say. And when he needed it, he went and got it. And the cutter was phenomenal. The little bigger one that's a slider was phenomenal. And his fastball had some insane life, both arm side run and up in the zone against Arizona State. So really positive what we saw from Mac this weekend.
Hey, and a separate note, you said earlier that the UCLA game might have been the best offensive performance for Tennessee this weekend. I think I might play devil's advocate and say them coming back on Saturday morning and swinging back with that 4-run second inning was maybe more impressive.
That was the best inning, but the 7 that followed or 6 that followed were abysmal.
Well, so Tennessee didn't do anything outside of that 6th inning against UCLA.
No, they scored in the 7th.
A run. that technically that is. Hey, Levi Clark sack fly. They drove in a run in the 9th inning. Blaine Brown and Levi Clark in the 9th.
They scored 5 runs in both games. So take
it's
your
a draw.
pick.
We'll say it's a draw. But what does Evan Blanco need to do to quit hitting batters? Because other than the hit by pitches, he was good against Virginia Tech. I don't know how good that Virginia Tech lineup is, but Blanco was mowing them down when he wasn't hitting guys.
Yeah, that's 2 weekends in a row. His command's been squirrely.
Elander mentioned
very surprising out of him.
We thought he was going to have better weather, it being in Texas, and he did have better weather. But Elander made the comment post-game that he was dealing with some humidity early on in the game, and they had to do some different stuff with the rosin bag to help him out. So maybe that was it. I don't know.
Okay. Well, you can't have it both ways. Last weekend was too cold. It can't be too humid. I mean, it was March 1st. I know the roof was closed, but come on.
But if he's not getting a grip on the ball and they're having to add rosin to it, I mean, that's a thing.
Yeah, I know, but okay. The first batter of the game would walk, and then you go figure it out. I don't know if I'm buying it after 70 pitches. Like, let's have it figured out by then. Take the rosin out there with you if you need it. And they rub all those balls down. And I can say this because Blanco, outside of Arvidsson, is my guy. And Appenzeller now. He's my guy too. I get to claim as many as I want. Newstrom's my guy.
What about Krenzel?
Krenzel's my guy. Everybody's my guy. But, I'm going to be a little bit show more favoritism to the lefties. And I'm not the coach, so I'm allowed to do that. Looks like he's flying open a little bit. I don't know. The fastball, I think it was the last one. Levi was set up away, and he hit the guy. It was a left-handed batter, and just completely left it arm side. Some of the 3-2 ones, it's like, kind of going inside. What's the difference? It would have been a walk if you didn't hit him. So, okay. But something to monitor for sure, because not what I expected from Blanco, not what I had seen in the past from him. Just too many free passes overall, however they come. So we'll see. But the stuff and the ability to throw the changeup for strikes and get ahead was very good on Sunday. And he kind of navigated his way around it. and we picked off like 300 times. So they're holding runners this year, Ben. We can't complain about the number of pickoffs because you Vol fans, you wanted them to hold runners. Well, by God, they're going to hold runners this year. We picked off 97 times this weekend.
Yeah, and I need college baseball to adopt the Major League Baseball rule of you get 2. you get 2, and that's it.
We have thrown out a decent amount. Like, it's working. And as I said on my rant about Frank, they're just lowering the batting average.
That's right.
It's a running joke from VFL and I. VFL Zach Lingenfelter and I, every time we see a pickoff, it's just lowering the batting average.
That's what Frank would say over in the dugout. I know you've told that story.
Yes. Statistics show if the runner's on first, every time you pick off, it lowers the hitter's batting average because they're standing in there doing nothing and they're seeing you throw the ball, but it's not from the slot. So a good hitting coach will tell you if you see a pickoff move, look away. Like, not anything drastic, but like you shouldn't track the ball out of the hand as if it were coming to you because it's not.
You don't need to go ahead and load, get ready for the pitch.
No. Just
all right. 5 games this week. You got ETSU Tuesday night, always a fun one. Tuesday afternoon, I should say, 4 p.m. start. Oakland from Detroit on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. The mighty Grizzlies, hopefully for their sake, they're better than my Memphis Grizzlies, who are just absolutely abysmal. But shout out to Jemai Mashak. And then you've got Wright State this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I believe that's a 6:30 start on Friday, 6 o'clock start on Saturday, and I don't know what time first pitch is on Sunday. Forgive me. There's a lot of innings and basketball to be played between now and then. It'll be in the early afternoon, like Will just said. If I told you Tennessee was going to go 4-1 this week, are you signing up for it right now?
Yeah. It's a good week, especially if I can pick the loss as either Tuesday or Wednesday.
I would say the loss on the weekend, one of the weekend days.
I'll still take it. Yeah, 4-1's a good week. Any way you slice it.
Yes, I and to explain ourselves a little bit, Ryan Shumpert and I were talking about this at basketball practice today, and my reasoning was, ETSU is going to give you a great fight on Tuesday. Do they have a good ball club this year? I haven't looked. Forgive me.
They're solid. They're not what they were last year, but they're solid.
Okay, but you still know that they're going to come in with a lot of fight.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're going to play unbelievable tomorrow.
It'll be one of the most intense games Tennessee plays all season. I really do believe that. It has been the last several years. I believe it's a great rivalry game. Tennessee baseball versus ETSU baseball, and
under the radar, but it's phenomenal for those that know it.
Yes, absolutely, sneaky good. You've got that, and then back-to-back days coming off of a weekend trip to Texas, and then Wright State is going to be feisty. You're still trying to figure some things out. Like, Tennessee's not going to play perfect baseball this weekend. You're still young. It's baseball. It's a game of failure, right? The big thing that hangs over all these clubs. So I would be very impressed if Tennessee went 5-0. This is not Tennessee basketball playing ETSU, Oakland, and Wright State all within the course of a week. It's not Tennessee football playing ETSU, Oakland, Wright State back to back. It's baseball, and this is a young team still trying to figure things out. And so I would anticipate a loss. It wouldn't be surprising if they went 3-2, and if they went 3-2, like, I don't know that would be a complete failure. I think it'd be a disappointment. But it wouldn't be a shock to the system because, again, it's baseball. It's a young team trying to figure things out. But I think if you said, hey, they're going to go 4-1, I'd sign on the where's the dotted line? Where do I sign right now?
Yeah, and I think you and I both want to see, like, at least one day this week, just give me an offensive breakout game, 15+ runs, score 20. Don't let up. And Elander, don't start pulling people until you get to 20. Let them get it all out. Let them boost those numbers a little bit. I'm serious. We need some midweek padding, some stat padding. Probably not going to happen tomorrow. So maybe Oakland stinks. Who knows? I haven't looked into them.
They, not only do the players need the stat padding, the coaches need it as well for their recruiting graphics at the end of the season.
Always.
Always. Yeah, that I want to see one game this week where the offense just completely breaks out and like everybody clicks at once and hits to their potential. And pitching wise, I want to see some consistency from the bullpen. The guys that we saw pitch well this weekend, can they carry it over into another weekend? But overall, like the hit by pitches need to come down drastically and quickly.
Yes. No, nothing else. No further comment to add. Bring them now.
My last thing, individual that you want to see break out this week. For me, it's Manny Marin. I want to see him get going at the plate.
Yeah, absolutely. If you go Manny, it would be really nice to see like a 3-4 homer week from Levi.
I need the 3 to 4 homers to be from Blaine Brown so I can get back on track with my 25 number.
I think either one of us would be opposed to both.
Yeah, facts. And I think Wednesday is going to give them a good opportunity to do so because Oakland is 1-10 on the season, and they just spent the weekend at Georgia. They played 4 games at Georgia. Friday they lost 16-6 in 7 innings. They lost 17-0 in 7 innings on Saturday. Played a doubleheader Saturday. Both games were 7 innings. They did not score a run all day. Lost 17-0, 11-0, and then on Sunday they lost 4-3. So a little bit closer. They got swept in a 4-game set by Southern Indiana, and they opened the season by losing 2 of 3 to Lamar. And the only game that they won that weekend and on the season, they won 3-2 in 10 innings. So Tennessee should be able to do what they need to do there.
Exercise some demons on that game.
Yes. And I am curious to see Tennessee's pitching on Tuesday against ETSU because Arvidsson kind of hungry after his weekend. Rudy didn't pitch. I mean, you would think that Tennessee, at least out of the gates on Tuesday, has a distinct pitching advantage.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's more than makes sense to run some guys out there that typically throw on the weekends for a Tuesday game, knowing you've got a Wednesday game as well, and knowing that despite having Wright State coming in this weekend, I think it's just a good opportunity, good competition, good opponent, and continue to get some work in and kind of carve out roles for bullpens, because that's, like you said, you always get a good game from ETSU, and it's a good opportunity to learn something about your guys. So how many did Appenzeller throw Saturday? He won't go out there Tuesday, will he? Yeah. Couldn't have been that many. He might be available. I assume Brown will open again.
Yeah, I mean, he'll open one of the two for sure.
Yeah.
Cam threw 29 pitches, but I don't know. I don't think I'd run him out there.
I wouldn't either. I'd use him.
I'd save him for the weekend.
Yeah. That way you feel okay about extending him if the opportunity comes, that sort of thing.
Yep.
I want to see Deering again. I want to see Tracy. We'll see basically everybody with there being 2 games. But for ETSU specifically, I would like to see Arvidsson, Rudy, Deering, Tracy, depending on how long you stretch these guys out, maybe 1 or 2 more.
I want to see Abraham get back out there.
Indy can give you an inning.
Yep.
Abraham, I think he's thrown in every midweek so far. So
sounds right.
Yeah. Good opportunity. Should be some good weather. I think it's a high of like 70 tomorrow.
Oh, look at that. You going to go over to the ballpark?
I might.
It's high of 69.
Yeah. You and a big Vol sack. Save me a seat over there.
I will be in Columbia, South Carolina, watching basketball tomorrow at 6:00. Our guy, Patrick Brown, will have the baseball coverage for us on Tuesday at Go Vols 247. And then on Saturday as well, I'll still be at the stadium on Saturday. Basketball has senior day against Vanderbilt at 2:00. Baseball is at 6:00. So I will be over at the baseball stadium once I get done with my basketball work. But Patrick will have takeaways and live updates, and I'll have some post-game stuff as well. But a good weather week. Does look like there's some rain in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday, but Friday's a high of 80 and sunshine. I mean, that's the weekend. That's the weather I just had in Texas this past weekend. We made it out of the bad weather. Let's go. I hate the bad weather and the cold
Don't
weather
speak too soon.
so much. But it looks like next week's going to be pretty warm too, even after the rain. So good weather on the way, although there is rain also on the way. We'll see how that affects the weekend. But we'll have a podcast on Thursday after the midweek games to give some reaction there and preview Wright State. Busy week. As I mentioned, I'm going to South Carolina for basketball tomorrow. But I'll be back for Wednesday's game against Oakland. 4 p.m. starts on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then 6:30 is first pitch on Friday against Wright State, 6 o'clock on Saturday, and 1 o'clock on Sunday. So a busy week for Tennessee baseball as they gear up for SEC play, which begins next weekend in 11 days, which just absolutely blows my mind. So we'll have it all covered for you at GoVols247.com and here on the Diamond Vols podcast. As I mentioned, Will and I will be back on Thursday with a podcast to look at the weekend and recap the midweek game. So in the meantime, appreciate everybody listening, and Will, always appreciate you, my man.
You as well. We didn't quite stick to the hour that we said, but we got closer than last week. So,
and we didn't
much like the offense, we're getting better.
Yeah, slowly but surely. I don't know if we have a lot of potential. At least I don't. I'd say you have a lot of potential.
We know our ceiling, though, or we know what our floor that we're trying to get to.
That's right. But at least we didn't get off the rails this week. We didn't get off the tracks too bad this week. It was just a lot of good baseball conversation. So,
best time of year, man. I love it.
Absolutely, a lot to talk about, and there will certainly be a lot to talk about as the month of March rolls on. But my man, have a good rest of your week. I'll talk to you Thursday, so enjoy your next 48 hours without talking to me.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
All right. For Will Heflin, our favorite two-way Tennessee baseball player, I'm Ben McKee. This has been another edition of the Diamond Vols Podcast on GoVols247.com.